A pretentious quote that will make us maybe hypocrites. We'll see. Photographs alter and enlarge our notions of what is worth looking at and what we have a right to observe. They are a grammar and, even more importantly, an ethics of seeing, by Susan Sontag. I found this fun and interesting and pretentious when I had to find something for photography and talk about. And I think it is very central to what we are talking about. We are priming people for a game, telling them what it's about, and wanting them to self-insert into it, and so on. So we're telling people, what can we see from this? How do we look at it? What does it represent? Moving on.
Yes, and when I do talks like this, I prefer to start with the basics of like, who are we, what are we talking about, how are we talking about it, all that stuff. So this is Carl Knutpunkt. Carl Knutpunkt is a very talented photographer. He is generally a genius, and he is the one who actually holds the camera when the two of us worked together. He's also a very talented Larp organizer, and sort of starting out from a very practical, scenography-oriented viewpoint, moving beyond that, of course, but that is sort of like the ground framework of his genius, and that shows in how you take pictures as well. My name is Julia Gape. I am not a genius, and I'm not. And I'm not a photographer, but I am the person who sort of often modeling, often directing, producing, and sort of Carl and I work quite well together, or at least I think so. Where I come to Carl and like, I have a vision, I have this image in my mind, and we need to create it. Can we do that? And the reason why the two of us are standing here together is because I think that this sort of collaboration is very important. Because as an organizer, you can't just be like, okay, we need some cool pictures for the webpage. Can you sort of like, will you take some cool pictures? Off you go. Because it is such an important part of how you communicate your LARP, how you convey your vision. So there needs to be a collaboration and dialogue. And also, we really want to empower organizers to think in images, even when they are not able to be the person with the camera in hand. Or maybe they are. Maybe actually just start doing it as well, if you feel like it. But that is who we are.
Yes.
And what are we talking about? And why talk about it at all? We are talking about how to view pictures, how to sort of interpret what am I doing, what sort of image is this, what does it convey. So it is very much like that pretentious quote about like, what does this image say, what does it spotlight? So it's very much like a way of understanding images and what they communicate. We are not talking about anything technical, so there will be no fucking cameras, no fucking lighting, no nothing. YouTube is there for you, and perhaps maybe if you get Carl a bit drunk or excited about something, you might get him talking as well. But during this talk, no technical stuff. And the reasons why we are talking about this, first of all, we think it is maybe the most potent way of showing your vision for a LARP, because like you can have such amounts of text and whatnot, but if the images available on your webpage do not sort of support the message that your text carries, then it's going to fall flat. And if your webpage doesn't have images at all, that might also affect sort of how you reach a potential audience. So images are important. Secondly, we want to talk about it because we fucking love it. Like, at least for me, it is sort of an art form in itself. We enjoy creating good promo pictures, and it is something worth doing. And on that note, it is worth doing well and on your own. We think that AI pictures, not that great. It is worth putting thought and intention into it. It's worth sort of choosing what you show with intention, whereas AI does the opposite. It is very unintentional. It's just sort of like, right? So this is worth putting effort into, we feel, and do not frighten your participants away by using AI, is our sort of standpoint.
Because you want to be clear and tell them the vision, and if you have muddled tools for it's not conveying anything really.
Yeah. Sort of continuing on that note, why have promo pictures at all? And there are several different reasons. One is sort of helping the potential participant with self-insertion, sort of starting the process of like, how would it be for me to be at that LARP, to be a participant, to do this. And on that note, we have a caveat about representation. We suck at it. And that is sadly mainly a question of we don't put enough effort perhaps into getting the right people, but usually we take the people who are available close to us. And sadly, we live in a very white middle class, country, and that is definitely something we can work on. So we feel the critique keenly on that note, and please do better than us. And we will try to do better, of course, as well. But anyway, self-insertion. Next up is verbs, sort of like what are the things you can do at this LARP? What are the actions? Can I work? Can I play? What do I do once I'm there, apart from just be? There's also conveying a mood or a play style, like is this very grim, dark, and emotional or gritty, or is it more of a feel-good, lighthearted, almost humorous? Like you can convey a lot tone. And similarly, you can convey emotions, like what am I supposedly going to feel at this LARP? Will I have a lot of crying? Will I be laughing? Will I be feeling cool and glamorous? We can also show a bit about props, costumes, scenography. What will it look like? How will it feel like? And what should you perhaps as a participant sort of aim towards? Like if I see that there are a lot of very gorgeous Regency gowns in the pictures, then maybe like, aha, okay, probably I should aim at looking like that. Can I do that? It is, of course, meant to create hype. Like if I see cool pictures, I get excited. I want to be part of the cool thing. But ideally, it should create hype for the right people. So the people that are the kind of participants who will play this the way you want it to be played should feel excited. And the people who want to do something completely different than what you want to do, they should sort of look at it and be like, it doesn't really look like something for me. And then also, it sort of manifests the project, because as I mentioned before, if we have a web page with no pictures at all, it feels very abstract, it feels very distant, like, is this even going to happen? Who knows? Whereas as soon as you see pictures, it's sort of like, okay, it's coming, it's becoming a thing that I can experience.
Yeah, even like seeing a picture of like this LARP already exists. Like I can see a window into this world. It exists. I just have to go there.
Yes.
Instead of feeling like, oh, will someone build this? Will it happen?
Yep.
So we have a fictional example of a LARP. Letters of Consequence. A LARP about living through war in the 18th century. What picture do you get in your mind? Think for 5 seconds. What is this LARP to you? Can I get 1 or 2 people just? Yes? No, yeah, quickly, I'll repeat. Say.
People in bunk beds writing letters to loved ones.
Super, one more.
Like a close-up of bloodied hand holding a moss-spattered letter.
Mm-hmm. So, very different, both letter and so on. Yes, letters. Is it clear enough with this pitch? I think you need an internal pitch for the team at least, like what kind of LARP about war is this? And when you've decided on that, you can start making images. For example, it could be something like this. Maybe it's a more like reenacty version of like, oh, it's cool having all the gear and stuff, like about the soldiers and their life in the field. But the same LARP could also be like, is it about the civilians, the people at home, or the ones being trampled by the big war machine and getting letters from the front? Or it could be about the officers playing cards and drawing strategic map and being assholes. So don't just pick a cool picture. It can be very broad spectrum, even with the same pitch and idea. And it can be even broader, like the goriness and so on. And they all convey different things. It's like body language. If I say, oh, I love you, while doing this, it speaks louder than my words. So if you have a LARP, like we will play civilians in a nice cozy village in the 1930s, and then you have Nazis on all the pictures with like uniforms. And like, this doesn't really reflect what I thought I would get from this, and you have lots of reenactors showing up and like, yes, and maybe not doing the thing that you want. So, yeah.
And when in doubt, I will listen more to pictures than to text.
Yeah. So, tools for building a picture. In general, it's a good idea of showing something that could happen at the Larp. So it's fair or congruent, like not fooling you. Like, oh, we have a big spaceship on the picture. There's no spaceship at the Larp, and so on. To be honest with it.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think those are, oh no, never mind.
Yes. So the things you can see in a picture. You can see the subject, the person or the thing, and so on. Usually something which directs focus, which we want to look at. How it is shown. So composition. Is it taken from below or above, making the subject feel empowered or smaller, and so on. How do you look at the subject? It could be a picture taken from outside of a room, just peeking in, so you see the blur of the size of the door. It like gives a more like I'm peeking up at you feeling. Or is the person alone or in a busy context, and so on. Light, everything about photography. Is it like the letter picture with like just the candlelight? What does that create instead of like having just outside in the day with everything is sunny and nice? The different colors. Do you want one certain color to stand out and make that a contrasty thing? Do you want to use the colors that you will use in the game, like different groups represented by different colors and so on? Is there any information you want to convey in this? And different qualities of just light. This is also bigger and going into technical aspects. Like the bigger light source you have, the smoother and more nice light you will have. So there are lots of choices here, but check YouTube. And some of these choices are things you can do afterwards in post-production, like adding grit to something or and so on.
Cool. And we have sort of created a very rough typology of different kinds of pictures that we find work well, sort of just to give an idea. And we will go through some examples and just explain what they are good for and less suitable for. So first of all, we have hands doing things. This is one of my favorites because hands are insanely expressive, but they don't have a face, obviously, but they don't have a person. When I see these pictures of hands, I don't think like, oh, that's that person, and that person. I just see a person, an emotion, an action. So they are very good for portraying both verbs. Like, for example, we have working in the field with your hands, dirty and toiling. They're quite good for expressing emotions. For example, like the picture to the right of just like that tentative connection, exploration. And they're also quite suitable to show off symbolism and themes of, like, for example, in the middle, like, what is the price of a human life, or what is the price of what I'm doing to myself, and sort of like showing this is a focus of the Larp. This is important. You should see that. Yep. And then we have still lifes, which is pretty much just objects, no people in the picture at all. And they can be a bit more of a room, like in some of the examples, or very focused on just a few objects. And that is also a very good way to show off symbolism and themes, that like these are things that are important. But they're also quite good to sort of just create a vibe, a mood, getting a feeling for how it will feel. And they are usually, like, they feel less busy than pictures with people in them. So if you want, for example, like a banner or something that is shown on the web page with a lot of text next to it or on it, it is a good way to work. But then, of course, you also need to think about how will contrast work if you put text on top of it. So, like, for example, if you have a picture that is half very dark and half very bright, maybe not ideal to put text on, but yes.
I think this works well. This tells me and my play style that it can be a slow LARP. I can sit and play with cards and do solitaire, or I can be in an environment, and that is in itself an experience.
And also that it is a LARP that is focusing quite a bit of scenography, like a typical sort of LARP where Carl is involved, that there will be thought put into the objects that are available. It will look and feel nice. It's also what these pictures convey. And then we have anonymized people, where in some way you very clearly show that this is the person, but you are not showing their face. And that is, again, same as with the hands. When we see a person's whole face, that usually becomes like, oh, that's a picture of Julia Greip, I know her, or like, I've seen her. Whereas these are just people. I could be that person. And again, this is where sort of representation comes in, and yeah, you can do better or worse with this. But yeah, that is a very good way to sort of create a feeling, an atmosphere, a vibe. And then we also have the opposite, where it is portraits, where it's very much, this is the person, this is their face, that is my face. And that sort of detaches a bit, or like removes you a bit from the self-insertion. It is more difficult now to say, oh, that could be me, because it isn't, and I see that very clearly. However, it is useful for two things. Partially to show this is a character concept. Like, you could be playing a character just like this one. For example, you could be that very cool guy working in this park and sort of being very on your smoking break, and sort of like giving an idea of like, that's a character concept. Cool, I could play a character like that. And also, like in the picture in the middle, you can create quite strong emotions because faces are hella expressive, as it turns out. So you can really like, oh wow, what is that person feeling in this moment? What sort of scene or situation has led to these emotions? So it does sort of create the idea of the LARP and the emotions available in it. And then this one is a bit of an in-between, because stage scenes can be both anonymized, as in the one to the furthest right, or with fully shown faces, which is less anonymized. But it's more focused on like, this is an actual scene. Something is happening between those two characters at this moment. And it can be both fairly low-key, like, for example, just sort of like, yes, just doing my mother's hair another day in the brothel. Or it can be a quite dramatic, sort of climactic scene. And this is something that is difficult to do well, because if you have a stage scene and it isn't conveying well, it will look a bit, I don't know how to express it. I will not get excited. I will feel like that looks a bit lame or cringy, or I don't know. So don't go for these kinds of pictures if you don't have a good idea of how to do it. Then it's better to go more for the subtler, less action-filled pictures. And now we're going to move on to showing some example projects where we have like organized a LARP and taking pictures from them, and we will take turns showing them.
1913 is a working-class drama and an upper-class family drama woven together over a traditional Scandinavian midsummer celebration. It is played in a naturalistic, down-to-earth playstyle with a rich physical environment and fully functional household. So this is very much a slice of life, upstairs, downstairs LARP with focus on the downstairs. We had more downstairs character than upstairs characters. And we wanted things to take time, and real work should be meaningful and part of life and central. So all the pictures were just still life scenes like this. And to me, I think it gives a historical vibe of people having lived in a space, and then they just stand up and leave. And you could go in and just sit down and take over that situation. The world exists, it is real and could have happened historically, and yes, so it gives a bit of a museum feeling to me, I think, in some way. And it primes people to maybe see the small details of like, oh yes, I could read the newspaper, or this weird thing I have in my LARP gear, I could bring that, because this is the game where that could matter or be fun to have. And yes, it gives inspiration to what you could do. You could bring a painting kit, and you could sit outside and polish your shoes and so on. So you give inspiration. Also mine.
Yes.
Yes, you were just there. the Austen experience is a LARP inspired by the works of Jane Austen and the film Austenland, and Westworld. It is set in a theme park in the future where guests go to live as Austen heroines. So we wanted to show character concepts in a somewhat distanced perspective, since it's a LARP about a park. So we already have the distanced, like, meta perspective of this. So, and this park is existing in a dystopian future, which is also gender neutral. So the characters in that world go to this park to relive history with more distanced gender roles. So it's going back and forth in meta there. And we wanted to show the heroines, that is, the characters from this world going to the park and paying to play the female heroine role in this park and getting handsome officers and so on courting them. So we wanted to show the heroines as the status people having an experience, and yes. So we have two park people working in the park, and they like kind of care about fitting in, but they're also kind of off-parky, and so on. So these are character concepts, and these are the heroines. And we wanted to show that it doesn't matter what body you have. If you want to go play a heroine at this game, you go play your heroine, and you get that experience.
And that is not, like, in-game, they are not female. It's just that in the park, they are playing a woman.
Yeah. And then we have the handsome gentlemen around who are, like, living up to the standards of these heroines. And same here.
Yes, next up is Libertines, which is a LARP about a party that sort of gradually spirals downward into vile and cruel debauchery. And it's set in the 18th century. And the goals that we had for this photo shoot was that we wanted to create a sense of discomfort, disgust, absurdity, and excess. Like, the most important thing was to show this is not a sexy LARP. When we say debauchery, it is not about getting your jollies on in the most predictable ways. We want to show something that doesn't create the expectation that, like, yes, okay, so the men will oppress and the women will be oppressed, and that's the LARP. Because that is often where your mind sort of goes, especially when it comes to historical oppression LARPs. So this is actually one of my favorites because it's a very nice, calm, still life. And there's a fucking fly, and it just sort of creates this like, oh, that's so disgusting. But that is more of the subtle communication, and then we also have pictures that show more actual excess. And again, we have the like, yes, she's just drinking, but the droplets of wine sort of creates this like, oh, stop it, oh. Or at least I have these feelings with food. I don't know if you're like that. And on the topic of food, again, sort of this is disgusting. This is not a sexy LARP. And that is especially because Anders has this great, really cruel, debauched, vile expression. Like, he barely looks like a person in this picture.
Also bored.
Also that. Like, it's not like, yes, ha, ha, ha. Just like, ugh, just another day of living the dream. So yeah, this is not about enjoying yourself. And on the topic of it's not only men oppressing and women being oppressed, we really wanted to show intersex oppression. Like, we have many different kinds of this, both women oppressing men, women oppressing women, like here, men oppressing men, and so on and so forth. And again, with the expression, like, this is not, oh no, I'm being so oppressed, help, help. It's just like, she's in freeze mode. She is fucking hating the situation, but also realizing, I can't get out of this. This is going to happen to me, which is, to me, a very like good expression of this is not sexy. And then you also have your babies of symbolism still
yes,
lives.
the on-the-nose symbolism of eating money and so on. So the LARP itself came from, we want to make a LARP which is maybe not something where you're possessed by something, a demon or something like that. You're just bribed or like pushed. Like, what is your limit in money? Like, would you do this if I pay you this much? And like, have more money. Like, what is your boundary? So that is at the central of it, hence money. And then we also wanted the like, you're just puppets in this game. We're bored gentry of like, we don't know what to have fun anymore. We're doom scrolling in the 1700s. And like, what happens if I push these people in different ways? And like, it's not even sexy anymore. It was like that 20 years ago, but now we're just puppeteering, like, kiss.
We're making a vampire LARP, pretty much.
Yeah, but without vampires.
Yep, the best kind. Next project is Pleasing Women, which was a LARP about gender roles and feelings between women, all kinds of feelings, but also very same-sex attraction kind of feelings. And it's set in a 1910s boarding school for young women. And the goal of taking these pictures was having that really soft and dreamlike quality, like a reverie or a memory. Like when, as an organizer, as I mentioned in the beginning, when I came to Carl, I'm like, okay, the pictures that I want to take for this had a very like clear image of that and no idea how to create it. And Carl just sort of came through and made it perfect. It's also about conveying subtlety, intimacy, and hesitation. Like, it is not a LARP about like, and then they kiss, like, and then they make out. It is about like that hesitation of like, I am thinking it, but could I ever do it? And it's also about exploring that point between loveliness and restriction. Like, the name of the LARP itself is very much like a double entendre of like, on the one hand, it's about pleasing other women, but it's also about being a pleasing woman and how that constricts you into a very narrow mold. And we have hands doing things. And here it is very much like both exploration of this could be a lovely thing, like this could be contemplating your engagement and the man that you're in love with and the life that you might have, or it is, oh fuck, I am trapped. What do I do now? So it's very much like, again, double meanings is a thing I'm fond of. And on the same note, hands doing things, anonymized people, and on the one hand, this is a lovely scene of like, yes, I'm helping my friend get dressed, and maybe I'm having some subtle feelings about like she's pretty. But on the other hand, I'm also lacing her into a corset, which is like, yes, we can have the discussion about how restrictive corsets are or are not, but it is still very much shaping you into a woman. And here we also have that very like soft, reverent quality of just like a thought and then like a fleeting daydream. What could happen? That touch that just happened. So it sort of gives a very subtle, very introspective feeling. And same with this one, sort of showing that scene or that moment that I want to happen of just like, is this just a friendship? Or is this something more happening here? But yeah, now we're moving on to Lord of Lies.
Lord of Lies is a LARP about a group of dysfunctional people trying and failing to be a satanic sex cult in the 1950s America. The themes include toxic power structures, exploitation, unity, and relationships. And it's based on like L. Ron Hubbard and Jack Parsons and early Scientology, or before Scientology. And this is like the clash of like cultic environment versus like dysfunctional community is almost comical. And like, how do we make the slice of life versus the occult work? Like, oh, we want to have the ritual tonight, summoning the Antichrist, but I need to do the dishes first because my second wife is annoying or something. So it's very much about like trying to marry those two worlds. So this was the first I took for that, just making some occult symbols with everyday objects. And after this, I think this was the first picture we had before playing the game. And then after having played the game, I played with just putting on a filter to make it feel more like documentary style. Of like they're having a ritual standing outside, and this is something which could have been done by a, I don't know, journalist or something. And then we have the everyday life of the people living here. And here, working with colors as well, this was integrated in scenography as well, wanting to have like beige and green and pastel colors. So I think it's lovely seeing that in what the players also brought. And this is a game I was part of organizing with outside of Atropos, and photos are taken by Eli. And I was the one doing both costumes and directing. I had an idea of what I wanted to do with this. So it's low fantasy. It's one of Sweden's biggest buffer campaign, and a bit of like Warhammer inspiration and so on. And I wanted to push the relational drama parts, inspired by like Band of Brothers and like how do we make war gritty reboot, that kind of thing. And it was also like the Larp was set in like a Christmas truce situation where you have a ceasefire for a day and you get to meet the enemy and create bonds and connections and like, oh, the war is over, and then like, oh, guess not. So then you actually have a connection to the other side and not just two split different parts. And so we very more of the like reenactment style for things like here. And it's a buffer campaign, but just showing this is what you would feel if you have a buffer dagger. More of that, like how can we create the feeling of desperation and so on. And this one also, I think buffer, like fantasy war can be very distanced of like, oh, it's cool, you have a sword, you fight, as long as you fight, it's fine, then you go home and drink beer or something. And showing like the consequences of like, you actually have to carry someone, you care about them if they're wounded, this is something you would rather see from modern day war or war drama. So connecting to something which might be more, at least pop culturally relatable, was the idea. And since this is very nerdy and gear heavy inspiration, this is Sweden. We focus on scenography and like clothing and hand sew our underwear ish.
Not all Swedes.
Not all. I've heard one who doesn't. But that's the joke, and it has the basis in this. We're quite close to like the reenactment community and so on. So we also gave tools and like PDFs of sewing patterns and so on for the participants to help them. And there is a living like tradition, so people also helped each other. And yeah, religious in-game symbols, showing, using the eyes in this sense can say a lot. Like it shows the soul, what have you been through, and so on. And the same with like crossing the boundaries between the two enemy sides, showing that as a scene. Like we want this to happen, we want you to like share backgrounds and stories and letters so we can break apart, and then you will fight more against someone you like and have a connection to.
Nice. Okay, we're going to speed up just a tiny little bit because we have 10 minutes left and it should be fine, but even so. Okay, so Stenrike is a LARP about the decision of whether or not to emigrate from Sweden to America in the 1800s, which a lot of Swedes did at that time. And it's inspired by books and consequential movies. And the goal of this photo shoot was conveying the playstyle, which was very terse, very worried. It was about saying little and thinking a great deal and often doing it on your own. Showing a feeling of poverty, hunger, and hard work. Like there's no feel-good vibes here. And also showing the location, because we did the photo shoot at the location, which we're not always able to do. Again, I love hands doing things. I love symbolism. So these shoes are sort of like the shoes of a child that is no longer living. And that is just such a potent picture, and it sort of creates a whole life. So dramatic that some people get flustered. No, sorry. And similarly, again, showing verbs. You can actually work at this LARP. You should work. That is part of the experience. Here we are showing off the indoor location as well as the props. Like this is in one of the houses that you actually LARP in. And this is an example of how you can do an anonymized picture, sort of showing the face, but I don't see Emily in this picture. I just see a woman. So that works kind of well to sort of enable self-insertion. And also showing off the outdoor environment in the same way. And of course also the costume. And we also took a still life showing a Bible, because this was a time of great religion and also religious strife, and a contract for the actual passage from Sweden to America. So like very symbolic objects of like, these are things that will be important to you.
Nocturne is a LARP about an occupied brothel during the American Revolution. The themes include power structures, exploitation, unity, and relationships. The goal was to try to capture the lives of the people involved in the situation, to show how this can be played in a way which is not a licky LARP, but transactional, uncomfortable, and character-centered. There are a variety of power dynamics at play as well. It's not just manly soldiers coming in and beating womanly women, but more is happening. So we wanted to show the consequences and the quiet interactions between dramatic situations, and not just have like a vending machine of oppression, like, oh, punching, punching, and then you go and, I don't know, relax, and then you go punching, punching. It's what happens in between. What are the silences? Who do you share those with? We wanted to show the logistics and consequences of sex. How it ties to everyday life for the sex workers here. And it's not the same again. It's not just getting your jollies in a predictable way. It's what happens. How are we worried about disease and pregnancy and so on? Can we, in some way, show that in this game? And showing the same-sex relationships and conflicts as well, to show that is part of it. Likewise, showing even like everyone in this LARP is somehow suffering. Like even the people with the more privilege, the more power, monopoly, and so on, feel fucking bad about being there and having power pushed down on them to do atrocities and so on. And we wanted to convey that and not just have NPCs punching other players and so on. And again, transactional symbolism and so on. Everything has a price, and that's dark.
Cool. Okay, now we're moving on from the examples to sort of like, here are some general lessons learned that perhaps you can use and think of. And the first one is quite a simple one, because these are pretty much the same picture. I think that in most cases, this is the better one, because when you cut out eyes, you sort of remove the person. Like this is Anders, this is the libertine, like this is a libertine. And in some cases, you definitely want to show the eyes, like for example, that one in Krigshjärta of Petra saying so much with her eyes. But in some cases, you gain so much by just cutting here. And for example, in Pleasing Women, we did exactly that. That's like, you never show the eyes of the people. They are just a person.
It makes it easier to self-insert as well, I think. For the LARP Indenture, which is about a poker tournament where you arrive with someone who you play with. And not just play with, but you're a token. You're part of the things that I play around. I don't know the terminology about poker, apparently. So this is something I first took at home with the things I had, like the historical deck and whatever I had lying around. After the first game, or during the first game, I took these pictures. So use what you have, and then you can update with the same idea. And this is the token representing the person, which I can lose, and so on in the power game, or poker game. Use what you have access to. A few, like the Libertine pictures, are taking in my living room. This is taking also in my apartment. It's very little needed. Like if if you think that you need a castle to portray something, then maybe you can just zoom in and do something smaller and focus on something which is interesting and crops out some things. This is just close to where I live, to get the cyberpunk feeling, going there at night, being sneaky and like, is this weird, putting up a tripod? Like, will some security take me? Yeah. And then you can use pictures from old Larps, or previous runs. Yeah, Sex Cult, School Larp, and Blade Runner inspired. And yeah, you can do that. That was what I had to say about that. So then you can do direct paraphrases. So this is the picture I wanted to recreate, but with other things. So we did that. And this is the picture you wanted to recreate. So we did that. And that can really help to just look around on Pinterest, get some inspiration, and like, ooh, that captures the feeling or the scenes we would like to see at this game. And in general, yeah, just pictures.
But also in this one, that like there's a difference between like you can capture the actual image, like the framing, how they're posed, or you can sort of like, I want that sort of light or that sort of vibe. So like, there are many different things that you can be inspired by.
Yeah.
But the most useful, I would say, is find a picture and you want to create that actual picture as close as you can, because it makes it so much easier to take a good picture and not just an okay picture.
Yeah, talk with the person you're organizing with. Like, oh, we agree on this one. Yes, exactly. We're going to have bottles. Like, no, we're going to have this kind of palette of colors.
No. I want the actual scene.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. No, I thought
Yeah.
I want different ages of the players.
Yeah.
So look intentionally.
Yes, and some even shorter sort of practical notes. One is the orientation of the picture. Like, is it landscape mode or is it portrait mode? Because different pictures are used in different ways. Usually on a web page, not always, but usually you want to have landscape mode, like if you want to use it for a banner or something like that, or a hero image. Whereas if you're making posters, you absolutely want portrait mode. And sometimes you can take the perfect picture and then afterwards when using them like, oh fuck, this is the wrong orientation and now I can't use it the way I wanted to. So think about that beforehand. And if you're uncertain or if you want both, take the same pictures in both orientations unless it doesn't work for both. And sort of inspired by having inspirational pictures, have a shot list, because once you are in the photo shoot, you're going to want to get as many pictures out of it as possible so you can sort of like harvest the best ones. And if you have an actual shot list of like, okay, so we want the picture of me licking her face, we want the picture of eating cake off my hand, we want this and this and this and this, then it makes it easier to prioritize and to make sure that you get the pictures that you wanted from the shoot while the models are there in costume, the lighting is set up, all that. And also define roles, like who is the photographer? Carl, in our case. And usually I do what is called directing, like the sort of like, okay, you should look like this, express your face like this, because that way Carl can have more focus on light, camera, all that shit, and I can focus on the people and what they're doing, and that sort of makes it easier for everyone. Who does clothes and makeup, if that is a thing? If you are shooting for a few hours, you're going to have at least snacks, preferably food. Is anyone solving that? Plan beforehand. It will save your lives and make it a more enjoyable experience. Brief the model beforehand. Like partially very practical things of like, should you bring your own clothes? Do you have your own clothes? How, like, when are you available from? When do you need to go? Take care of your models. And let them know beforehand if you sort of expect them to lick cake off fingers, because they might want to sort of like say, no, I don't feel comfortable with that. And this one is actually very important. Make sure that someone, usually the director or someone else, looks at details, because you can take an amazing picture and then the clothes are just doing something weird, like my collar is half or something like that. And it makes the entire picture unusable. Like you can't save it in Photoshop. And that just sucks when you put so much effort and gotten the perfect picture. It's just like, no. So be mindful of that. And now I see that we are out of time.
Yeah.
So, do we want to do the exercise,
I
or do we
think
want
we
to take
can-
questions, or do we want to say thank you and bye?
Yes, we should say thank you and bye because we're over time. But you can
Yes.
come up and ask us, I think.
Yeah,
Yes.
that sounds great.
Super.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you very
listening.
much.